Welcome to Positive Atheism English channel. Today, from the book The Life and Times of Gora, written by Mark Lindley, we will learn about the chapter 9, Last Years. Lavana spent the academic year 1966-67 in North America, and when he arrived back home, declared that the time was ripe for Gora to promote his ideas abroad. So Gora asked him to plan a tour. To broaden his scope accordingly, Gora began in January 1969 to publish an English language monthly journal, The Atheist. Gora edited it, but Lavanan chose the title. I think Positive Atheism would have been a better choice to distinguish Gora's views from those not only of religious humanists but also of nasty atheists such as Ayn Rand. In January 1970, Gora held a National Atheist Congress in Vijayawada, during which a letter arrived from the International Humanist and Ethical Union inviting him to address its next Congress to be held in Boston in August. He accepted the invitation, and it was arranged for him to circumnavigate the earth in a tour lasting from July to November, a radiantly hopeful venture. He spent a month in 8 countries of Western Europe, 3 months in the USA, 2 weeks in Australia and New Zealand, and a few days in Indonesia, Singapore, Fiji, and Sri Lanka. The Atheist published detailed reports, a few excerpts. In Western Europe, the trains are not all crowded. The British and the Dutch had a series of cultural revolutions which have made them rational and realistic. The mason's hands were clean as he worked with the trowel. The sense of neatness is part of the life of the European. During the question time, I had occasion to explain the meaning of decentralized administration, namely the panchayat system, what it is and what it ought to be. The discussion revealed that the students favored Marxian solutions to the problems. They were inclined to the real part of class struggle. The newspapers in Sweden published the news of the press conference held by Gora prominently in more than 3 columns. In the slums of Rome, there are crowded houses and open drains. Children pray in the streets. Mothers curse their children, but inside the houses are remarkable amenities, sofas, electrical stoves, radios, and cutlery equal to that of the upper middle class in India. My host in Paris was unable to speak English, but with gestures made me understand that he was strong because he ate beef and pork, and that I was weak because I ate only vegetables, just as sheep eat only grass. But I retorted, bulls and elephants are strong, though vegetarians. At once he shook my hands. A band of progressive Christians have sponsored a fellowship of individuals working to translate the teachings of Christ into practical action in local, national, and international affairs in social, political, and economic spheres. It uses non-violent methods to achieve fundamental changes at home and abroad in the distribution of wealth, the exercise of power, and conditions of life. It was alien to no political party or religious denomination. I consider that this statement is such that any progressive-minded person can subscribe to it, replacing, if he desires, the name of Christ with the name of Buddha, Muhammad, Krishna, Shiva, Marx, Gandhi, or any name of his admiration. I signed the membership form as an atheist. The stewards inquiringly uttered the 2 words, India, Gandhi. In the USA, at the conference of the International Humanist and Ethical Union, I proposed that we should cultivate the habit of talking to those with whom we differ. An understanding of the opposite point of view helps us to correct our own faults and to clear misunderstandings on the other side. Martin Luther King and Cesar Chavez are principal figures in putting Gandhian principles of non-violence into practice on a mass scale. I stayed a week in New York to study the problems of white-black relations and of unwed mothers. There has been a steady increase in the illegitimacy rate over the past 25 years in the USA. The unmarried mother and her child are treated as second-class citizens. The Republicans and Democrats have little difference as far as the interests of the common people go. The people have no pressing problems since all the unemployed, the old, and the disabled enjoying the benefits of Social Security. I stayed at the student commune of Stanford University and participated in their routines. I had shorter but similar experiences in youth communes at Kingston, Kent, Berkeley, and San Francisco. I went to Las Vegas at the invitation of 2 churches and spoke from their pulpits on nonviolence and atheism. My host took me into a gambling house. Prayer and gambling reflect the same aspect of human nature, which covers big results for small efforts. At Plain Springs, my host was the bishop of the local church where I spoke on the humanist approach to the problems of life. In Australia, I was impressed with the open-mindedness of the churchmen. They were concerned more with the Christian way of life than with the Christian faith. If other religions too changed their emphasis likewise, they would find a great similarity between their ethical concepts. There would be no more Hindu-Muslim riots in India or Catholic-Protestant conflicts in Ireland. Apart from all these interactions with progressive Christians, another result of the tour was a plan to hold in Vijayawada in December 1971 a World Atheist Meet presided over by Madeleine Murray O'Hair, whom Gora had met in the USA. She was a famous atheist activist whose rather poor character he has not perceived. Three things, however, interfered with the planned Congress. 1. Mrs. O'Hair couldn't attend for lack of a passport. She sent Gora a telegram asking him to sort out the problem. He made the 3,500-kilometer round trip to New Delhi to look into it and found that it was due to her insistence on getting, like the Roman Catholic Pope, a diplomatic passport because she claimed to be the Pope of atheism. Number 2. The Congress had to be postponed for a year because of logistical uncertainties due to the Bangladesh War of 1971. Number 3. When it did take place in 1972, the logistical side effects of severe political agitation in Andhra Pradesh just at that time, the agitation to dump Telangana from the province prevented most of the foreign delegates from arriving on time. Gora, meanwhile, published in 1972 an up-to-date book-length account in English of his philosophy of positive atheism and also pursued a novel ecumenical idea derived from an experience he had while doing voluntary work as a Congress organizer in Delhi 25 years earlier. An eminent Muslim politician had invited him and Saraswati to dinner and had served beef. Though customarily vegetarian, they had eaten the beef as a gesture of cordiality and open-mindedness, and then Gora had asked the host whether he would partake of pork if it were offered to him as a guest in the home of someone whose religion permitted it, and the host had said that he would. Gora's idea now in 1972 was to hold a public beef and pork friendship dinner at the Atheist Center by way of celebrating the 25th anniversary of India's independence from British rule. With massive policeman protection, some 135 people marched past a crowd of violence-minded protesters, ate a mixture of little cubes of beef and pork from 2 tins of canned meat which Gora had bought in Madras, and signed a register to show that they had done this radically open-minded thing. In 1973, he decided to found a college for social change to train social activists. He was hoping to spend half of his time teaching there once the school had government certification and could be started. In 1974, he made another international tour, this time including Moscow and Egypt for 5 days each, as well as 2 months in Western Europe. In Scandinavia, he studied in some detail the adult education programs. In Egypt, he was mainly a tourist. In London, he had an experience echoing the one he had devised with his beef and pork friendship dinner for Hindus and Muslims in India. In Moscow, where he was a guest of the appropriate official organizations, he had a translator, guide, and a carefully planned agenda of tourist sites and meetings with the heads of organizations, 2 of which were chosen because they would be of special interest to him as a professed atheist. It is one thing to do something and quite another to understand and do it. Jnaniye is the institution devoted to educating people in the scientific way of understanding. It has a ramification of institutions throughout the USSR for spreading scientific knowledge through exhibitions, talks, study camps, and literature. They freely use the word atheism for the purpose. The Council of Religious Affairs is the complement of Jnaniye. Article 124 of the Constitution of the USSR ensures to citizens freedom of religious worship and freedom of anti-religious propaganda. While Jnaniye takes up anti-religious propaganda, the Council of Religious Affairs helps those who desire religious worship, Christians of all denominations, Muslims and Jews, hold their conferences, maintain their respective places of worship, and publish in Russian and regional languages religious literature like the Bible and Quran. The Council of Religious Affairs assists only in the organization of religious matters, but does not subsidize them with grants and funds from the government. Devotees have to maintain their institution. No funds are allowed from outside. The chronic problem in India of destitution due to unemployment and underemployment prompted him to say in regard to the USSR, creating employment for all able-bodied adults in the specialty of the socialist way of life, achieved it through regimentation. If it can be done in another way also, it should be done. And soon after returning to India, he toured in 1974-75 several provinces, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, etc., giving talks in support of the anti-corruption and social reform aspects of JP's total revolution. What he now saw suggested to him, however, that the JP movement was, notwithstanding its idealism, just as superficial and romantic as the hippie movement in the USA, and that instead of seeking some kind of quick fix for India's problems, he ought to focus on educating the next generation. Early in July 1975, two eminent Gandhians from Sevagram went to Delhi to tell Indira how much they disapproved of her emergency rule. She suggested to them that Gora might serve as a go-between in negotiating a settlement with JP. They went to Vijayawada in mid-July to put the idea to Gora. He liked it, but wanted to know more as to what she had in mind. While awaiting a response from her on July 26th at a public gathering in Vijayawada, he began to give a talk on rural development when, in the middle of a sentence, in Gandhi's ashram we used to carry the night soil in two buckets like this. He held out his two hands as if carrying a pail with each one, and thereupon collapsed and died immediately. Thank you. We'll meet in the next episode again.
Please download Samaram multi-channel app and watch your favorite channels from your mobile. App available on Google Play Store and subscribe to the channels. For more videos, please subscribe to this channel Positive Atheism and activate the bell icon.